Hi, today we are just going to draw grids and their pictures that are already the same size. So we're not increasing on a size, we're going to just make things a little bit larger squares. So this one still is about 1 centimeter, and what it gets to on the other ones, the pictures here, they are 1-inch squares now. So see how the squares have gotten larger? So your picture is still staying the same as what it is here. You're just getting the change of what the size of the squares are. And this one is also where it's a 1-inch. And then we go to this last one, that's also a 1-inch. So things are somewhat numbered for you. You need to complete the numbering of each grid to help you find your placement. Still use sticky notes if you need to help block sections out. But what I would also look at is where things lining up in the square. So on, say for this one here, I would break things down more. And what I would do is always find where halfways of something is. So if I was looking at how do I find the placement of this ear, I would find the halfway mark and just draw a light guideline on your grid. So that's telling me in this square, it's below the halfway point. What you could also do is divide it that way, and that would help me know where the tip of the ear is. If you wanted to get more complex, you could even break that square down to help you find the placements of where your items are. So other things to look at is maybe it's not a perfectly straight line, so don't make it that. Like these are some wavy lines, pay attention to where that is. What I would do on corners and placements of where things are, so in the other packets we were looking right where they lined up on these corner intersections. A lot of these are in the middle of things. And I changed it just so you can start looking at where things actually line up, because if we would just find a picture and make a grid on it, it's not always saying it's going to line up right in an intersection of a vertical and horizontal axis line. So like here we got lucky of where it's almost on the point, but here now it's off to the side. So I would divide something in half like this, so it would help me, and I could even see by dividing that a little bit more of where an intersection is. Divide things all like that if you wanted to. So I would draw these lightly, and the same lines I would be putting in this intersection. So to help me with, say, this little calf's feet, I would find the halfway point right there. So on that 6-7, I would make that same line here. And now I know not to draw it all the way down here. It's going to start up in that section. What I would also do is maybe a vertical line in that 6, so it would help me know where that calf's back part of his hoof's gonna go. I could do one right here, and that would tell me, hey, look, it actually lines up on the halfway mark. So I could do a halfway line here. And that would help me see where those little marks need to be. So I'm not gonna go over here. I need to make sure it's only in this small section right here. And then it's gonna come back up in those areas. So what I would do even for, say, this little bit of grass there, make marks on this grid of where it's going to go. So you notice it's numbered here, but on this side it's not numbered. So I would add my own numbers. This way it's easier for me to count where the items are. I would also probably be blocking things out, so I'm not seeing this whole cow. I'm just working in this small section of knowing where something is. And then I would move it up as I go. So divide things in halves. I would say divide like right there in half. That will tell me where the top of this fence post is. If I would look, this is not going perfectly straight across for the door. Everything is tilted at an angle. So we're starting to show, when they drew this out, a little bit of perspective. So they are lines going like this, but this side's going off this way, and this side's roof and bottom are going off to the side. So don't be drawing them straight across in the grid. So if we look at the next page, because we are drawing a little bit larger again, what I would look at is dividing things in halves again. So as when you're getting graded on this and for accuracy, because that is the whole purpose of this, I'm gonna go, let's just do this one, because people seem to throw the hat anywhere they want in the picture, and it actually has a correct placement. So when looking at this, and I'm in number 3 still, so if I look at this, I only see a little corner of that hat is right in this section. It's not all the way up here. It would be more like this. And notice to where it touches. And it's going to come down on the inside of that line. And notice the brim part of the hat doesn't go all the way over to the side of the grid. It's probably about right there. And it goes off the grid over here. And then what I'm also going to look at is how big is this body. So if I did the halfway lines here and here, that's going to tell me the body's in here, and this time it's going over, but it's not touching this grid line, so it's about right in that section. What I'd also look at are where are the little ends of his legs going. So if I did a halfway line, those are going to help me know, okay, this needs to go over here, but it's actually in the touching this one, so I could know that. This one, maybe I could divide it in half, and hey, look, by dividing this in half now I know it's touching in this area. And this one's down here, and then this one was down even lower. So now I know where all those little sections are touching. Eyeballs, they're not actually in the center, they're off to the edges of this, just very little. And then some right in that area. So pay attention to the placement of those. They do touch the grid line just a little bit more. It's almost there, so make sure those intersections are right where they need to be. They're not always touching on a grid line, so pay attention. The next page is this little superhero dog. So what I would also do with him is one good one of being like, okay, there's a lot of details up there. I need to make sure they're in the right spot. So I'm just going to draw a halfway line going across, and I would do that same halfway line going across here. And by seeing that is helping me know where that nose is. And if you're like, I'm confused of where things are, I would just cover all this up like this, and this way I can only see that top part that I'm working on. I could also divide things in halves, like I'd like to do more this one, so I would know where, see how his ear changes the direction. It's going to be right in this area. Then his eyes, that helped me know about where those go. You even want to break it down more. You can see, okay, that's right where the eye goes. I'm going to make a halfway mark. So then I know, let's get this started drawing for you. You can see it's going to go up in this area. And I like drawing lightly. So then if I make a mistake, I could erase it. This goes slightly over. And then it's going to come back. And that nose was up in this area. It's filled in. I'm going to look at where that eye was touching. And this one's down just a little bit lower. So that gets me started. And then he does have those little dots. And I put a halfway mark line just a little bit right there. So that would tell me there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I would move my post-it notes down and work on it more by dividing things in half. So looking at this one, I could see right where the ear would be touching. People seem to draw the feet a lot smaller than they are. So notice, it's in number 3 and in number 2. And if I divide it in half, that's telling me how big the foot is. So actually, it's a whole square. It's just in taking up 2 of them. So make notes of where things are in those. And then number 4, this one, if you notice, and people seem to not notice, but this one has a hole open thing. So what I would do is just mark those out so I know not to draw in them. Also, it's only numbered on the bottom. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then here go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This way I know I am drawing in the correct squares. Because if it is moved down, because you're like, okay, I need to have this going right here, and then but you put the word bubble up here, you've just stretched your whole drawing out. So that's why counting is very important of where placement of everything goes. Also, you need to include the words the correct size in that word bubble. So use your post-it notes if you need them, use things to break them down. Like you could do one right there to help you know how large that word bubble needs to go. I would do one like this so I know the placement of this dog's ears. I would go and do one just probably all the way through here, because that's telling me, okay, there's a knee touching halfway, a toe touching halfway. This is up here and down here, like find the placements of where your little parts go. And because this one is so detailed, I would even do halfway like that. So if I'm getting confused when I'm drawing on my lines, I could just get 4 post-it notes and block that whole section out. And if you don't have post-it notes, just find another piece of paper, like even another piece of white paper and something else, and block things out that way. So I am one that still uses the breaking things down to make sure it's very accurate. I am one that still uses the post-it notes, because sometimes you do get overwhelmed with those little lines of which one is which, and use them to help you find everything and put things in your correct placement. So happy drawing, and thank you for watching.